The audiobook you're about to experience draws its inspiration from a deceptively simple yet astonishingly prophetic quote by the acclaimed science fiction author William Gibson, the literary godfather of cyberpunk and the man who imagined the internet before most of us had ever touched a keyboard. In an interview from the early 1990s, Gibson casually dropped this gem. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. At first glance, it sounds like something you'd overhear at a tech conference between bites of artisanal sushi. But pause a moment. Beneath its surface is a statement as deep as it is dryly ironic, a reality check wrapped in a fortune cookie. What Gibson meant, and what Silicon Valley has since adopted as gospel, is that the world doesn't jump into the future all at once. The cutting edge doesn't slice uniformly. Somewhere, someone is 3D printing organs or building homes with robots, while elsewhere, people are still faxing documents and using AOL email accounts. It's not that the future isn't happening, it's just showing up in some zip codes earlier than others. This audiobook takes that uneven distribution of the future and spins it into a thrilling mystery set in the shadows between timelines, where yesterday's stories hide tomorrow's secrets. Think of it as a guided tour through the back alleys of progress, the dusty film reels of forgotten prophecies, and the flickering frames where reality glitches into something else. So buckle in, because as Gibson hinted, and we're about to explore, the future isn't coming. It's already here. You just have to know where to look. Episode 1, The First Code. Chapter 1, Strange Discoveries in a UCLA Dorm Room. Tristan Marshall adjusted the angle of his computer monitor for the 10th time in as many minutes. He was slouched forward, eyes squinting at the flickering black and white footage from a long-forgotten Japanese movie. The small dorm room he shared with Ingrid Chang smelled faintly of instant ramen and coffee, a predictable late-night cocktail for overworked, sleep-deprived college students. The pair, both 21-year-old juniors at UCLA, were immersed in the film and animation program, known to be one of the toughest in the country. A single lamp on Ingrid's desk cast a soft glow, revealing scattered storyboards, scribbled notes, and open textbooks. She took a deep breath, trying to fend off the wave of fatigue that threatened to close her eyes for good. "Tristan, seriously, how many more of these are we going to watch tonight?" she asked, stifling a yawn. "Just one more," Tristan replied, pushing his thick curls away from his forehead. "This is all for that class project, Professor Caldwell's module on post-war Japanese cinema. You remember how she said there are hidden gems nobody's ever heard of?" "Hidden gems," Ingrid echoed, rummaging for a bag of snacks. "It's more like torture at this point." He chuckled. "You're the one who wanted to be thorough. I just want us to find a unique final project, something that'll make Caldwell look at us like we're geniuses." Tristan clicked play on the next selection in a digital archive they'd found. The film's Japanese title was untranslated, listed only as Toi Keimusho Yuen Iching Wusuo, or something resembling a distant prison. Their knowledge of Japanese was patchy at best, so they used partial subtitles gleaned from an older film restoration site. As the grainy video rolled, it introduced a main character, a somber businessman in a dark suit carrying a battered leather briefcase. They watched, transfixed by the old-fashioned cinematography. Occasionally, the camera perspective would shift, making them crane their necks to read the battered subtitles. 10 minutes into the film, there was a peculiar scene. The businessman stepped onto a busy Tokyo street, the camera panning over him for a split second as he adjusted his briefcase. Then, blink, a strange image flashed by so quickly that Ingrid nearly dismissed it as a glitch. "Wait, hold on," Ingrid said, leaning forward. "Did you see that?" Tristan frowned. "See what?" "There was something like a code, some pattern on his briefcase." Ingrid's voice jittered with excitement. Before Tristan could respond, Ingrid seized the mouse and scrubbed backward. She slowed the playback, Sure enough, at the exact moment the camera panned over the briefcase, there appeared a QR code. It was only visible for a fraction of a second. "No way," Tristan said, almost falling out of his chair in surprise. "This movie is from 1959. There's no way a QR code could appear in it. QR codes weren't invented until decades later." "That's exactly what I'm saying. Let's pause. Zoom in." Ingrid dragged the digital slider inch by inch, using the highest resolution they had. Soon they had a frozen frame, a black and white mosaic that, to modern eyes, looked suspiciously like a QR code. Ingrid's heart pounded. "It's definitely a QR code." Tristan, who was more technologically inclined, whipped out his iPhone. "Let's see if it scans." He aligned the phone's camera with the screen. Sure enough, after a moment of hesitation, the phone displayed a notification. "Open URL in browser?" Ingrid gasped. "You've got to be kidding me." With a skeptical glance, Tristan tapped the link. The phone's screen loaded a web page filled with unrecognizable Japanese text. Long passages, riddles, paragraphs with archaic characters. "I can't read any of this," Tristan muttered. "Hold on." He copied the text and opened Google Translate. In the awkward but comprehensible English that popped up, a repeated phrase stood out. "The future has already arrived. It is just not evenly distributed." Below that, lines of cryptic instructions. "Seek that which is hidden. Seek the silent watchers. In the darkness, the lens reveals truth. He who deciphers shall traverse the boundary." "What the heck is this?" Ingrid said, her voice trembling a little. Tristan shook his head slowly, equally startled. "This is definitely not some random glitch. There's actual coded text in this. Could it be someone hacked an old film?" "But the restoration site's archive was from a direct scan of film reels," Ingrid said. "They specifically said these are from museum archives that were never digitized until recently. I don't think they'd add a QR code as a prank." "What if someone did it decades ago?" Tristan frowned. "But that's impossible, right?" The seeds of mystery took root. Ingrid's mind raced through possibilities. A hoax by the archive, some bizarre anachronism, or something else entirely. "I say we investigate," she declared, resolute. Tristan nodded. "I'm with you. But let's keep this quiet until we figure out what's going on. The last thing we need is a bunch of conspiracy theories overshadowing our final project." The pair exchanged a determined glance. Their exhaustion momentarily vanished as curiosity took hold. Little did they know, this was the first step down a rabbit hole that would lead them to places they never imagined. Chapter 2. Preliminary Research. The next day, Ingrid woke with dark circles under her eyes. She parted her curtains, letting in the bright Californian sun that glinted off UCLA's manicured lawns. She and Tristan had stayed up half the night, documenting every frame of that peculiar scene. Now, armed with a fresh pot of coffee, they dove into research mode. Ingrid typed furiously, scouring internet forums and databases for any mention of suspicious QR codes in old media. Meanwhile, Tristan contacted the small restoration group that had digitized Toy Keimusho. "Hello, yes," he said over the phone, trying to keep his voice calm. "I'm a film student at UCLA doing a research project on post-war Japanese cinema. Can you tell me about your digital archiving process for a film titled Toy Keimusho from 1959? From the speaker, a polite but distant voice responded, "Yes, our process involves scanning original reels using specialized telecine equipment. We do minimal retouching for clarity, but do not add or remove any content." Tristan pressed. "So you wouldn't have inserted any digital elements into the film frames?" "Of course not," came the firm reply. "Our mission is archival authenticity." After the call ended, Tristan shook his head at Ingrid. "They claim it's all genuine. No digital tampering." She stared at him. "That means that code is in the original reel." "But how could that possibly be?" Ingrid sighed, slumping back in her seat. I have no idea. Tristan typed a few more lines. I'm searching for references to early data codes or matrix codes. The earliest mention is from the 1990s, and that's obviously not 1959. They were at an impasse. Finally, Tristan asked, should we talk to Professor Caldwell about this? No, Ingrid said firmly. Not yet. She might not believe us. And if she does, we risk losing our advantage for the final project. Let's keep investigating on our own. Fair enough. Exhausted but determined, they prepared for the next step. Find out if this was a one-off anomaly or if there were others. Chapter 3. Breaking the Riddle. That evening, after their classes, the roommates gathered around Tristan's laptop. The website they'd accessed with the hidden QR code was still open, the cryptic Japanese text swirling in Ingrid's mind. Let's see if we can interpret more of it, Ingrid said. She systematically fed chunks of text into Google Translate, then tried to smooth out the awkward phrasings. Most passages spoke about shadows, watchers, and illusions. A few lines referred to a date, February 3rd, 1959, and a location near Tokyo Station. What happened on February 3rd, 1959, at Tokyo Station? Ingrid mused aloud. She typed queries into the search bar. Most results came up with historical footnotes about the station's reconstruction after the war, nothing about anything particularly conspiratorial. Then Ingrid noticed a recurring phrase in Japanese, Amatsukami. Translating it gave her heavenly gods or sky gods. It was an ancient Shinto reference, but didn't entirely make sense in context. The text insisted, seek the path of Amatsukami, the lens that sees the unseen, the code that spans worlds. Tristan drummed his fingers on the table. This is so bizarre. It's like some occult or mystical reference. Maybe it's referring to a secret society. Ingrid shrugged. I wouldn't rule it out. Japan has had its share of secret societies and esoteric schools of thought. But if they had advanced technology or knowledge of some code system in 1959, that's next level weird. They found one last snippet that intrigued them. Some illusions are illusions. Some illusions are truths. The Watchers maintain the boundary until the world is ready. Tristan looked around the dorm room, half expecting hidden cameras to pop out. This is insane, he muttered. Yet with every translation glitch and cryptic phrase, they grew more determined. There was a puzzle here, a puzzle someone had buried in a film made decades before its time. That night, Ingrid dreamed of men in black suits with briefcases embossed with swirling QR patterns. She woke at dawn, breathless, an inexplicable sense of anticipation weighing on her. Chapter 4. The Spark of a Quest. A few days passed in a haze of classes, film shoots, and surreptitious research. Finally, they concluded that their first big step was to locate more films from the same era, particularly from 1959, to see if this bizarre phenomenon repeated. They scoured the UCLA Film Library's Japanese archive, even coaxing a graduate student clerk to let them see the lesser-known titles not normally accessible. Many of these old prints had never been digitized, stored in climate-controlled rooms beneath campus. One afternoon, they got special permission to view an original reel from 1959, titled Kage no Isha, Doctor of Shadows. Ingrid's heart pounded as she and Tristan sat in a dim viewing room, the whir of the projector behind them. They carefully watched the entire film, searching for anomalies. Hours later, the credits rolled. Nothing. I guess the code isn't in every random film from 1959, Ingrid said, somewhat deflated. Tristan removed the reel, carefully returning it to its protective canister. Let's not lose hope, he said. We'll just have to keep looking. Despite repeated efforts, they found no second instance of the hidden QR code, yet. But they refused to give up. The memory of that single code, scanning flawlessly on Tristan's phone, taunted them like a ghost in the machine. Around midnight, back in their dorm, Ingrid pored over a film forum dedicated to obscure Japanese cinema. She found a reference to a bizarre rumor about another 1959 film with alleged modern anomalies. "Tristan, check this out," she whispered excitedly. The rumor pointed to a nearly lost film called Gin no Carmen, Silver Mask. It was said to contain strange symbolism ahead of its time. The post was nearly a decade old, from a user with a handle Lotus Watcher 79, who claimed the film had a fleeting symbol that looked like a digital code. "That's got to be it," Ingrid said. "We have to find that film." It took a few days of emailing archivists and rummaging through obscure film databases, but eventually they found a private collector in San Francisco who possessed a 16mm reel of Gin no Carmen. The collector agreed to stream it for them via a secure link at a cost. Tristan and Ingrid pooled their meager funds. When at last they sat down to watch, they braced themselves for anything. Their hearts raced as the film approached the final scene. A crowd shot in a bustling Osaka neighborhood. At the 30-minute mark, a second code flickered for less than half a second, again on a briefcase. Their jaws dropped. It was similar but not identical to the first. Tristan swiftly captured the screen and scanned the code with his phone. Again, it led to a cryptic website in Japanese. They froze in awe. They had just confirmed that the first code was no fluke. The mystery deepened. Episode 2. The Second Code. Chapter 5. A New Thread. 2 days after discovering the second code in Gin no Carmen, Ingrid and Tristan found themselves hunched over their laptops, the dorm transformed into a makeshift detective's office. They had pinned notes on a corkboard, scrawled question marks about the codes, times, frames, cryptic lines from the website translations, and references to Amatsukami and some shadowy watchers. On a whim, Ingrid typed the exact phrase Amatsukami watchers boundary into a search engine. Most results were random or related to Shinto mythology, but one link caught her eye. A short academic paper from the 1980s referencing an underground group known as Ama no Kai, loosely translated as Society of the Heavenly. The snippet read, "The Ama no Kai was rumored to fuse new technology with esoteric ritual, believed to harness a divine vision that transcended normal perception. Speculation abounds regarding the group's existence in mid-20th century Japan." "This might be something," Ingrid murmured. She read it aloud to Tristan. He shook his head slowly. "So maybe we're looking at a real secret society, the kind that merges spirituality and technology." "It sounds outlandish, but what else could explain QR codes in a 1959 film reel?" Tristan laughed nervously. "I can't believe I'm even entertaining this, but yeah, we have no better explanation yet." They turned their attention to the newly found second QR codes website. Like the first, it was a single page of dense Japanese text. The repeated phrase about the watchers, illusions, and the boundary recurred, but now an additional cryptic line said, "From the silver to the golden, you shall ascend. The key lies in the place where midnight meets dawn. Listen for the trembling of the metal. Decipher the sign, and you shall find the next gate." They stared at the lines. "Silver to golden," Tristan repeated. Could it be referencing the first film to the second film? Toike Musho had no reference to silver, but the second film is called Gin no Carmen, Silver Mask. Maybe the next one has something to do with gold? Ingrid shrugged. "It's possible. Or maybe it's referencing an actual location in Japan. I recall a region nicknamed the Silver something, or the Gold something." She shook her head. "Not sure." They decided to keep an eye out for any 1959 Japanese film with gold in its title. Meanwhile, an email from the private collector arrived. "I might have something else you'd be interested in. Another rare 1959 film, Ogon no Shiro, Huangjin no Cheng, or Castle of Gold. Let me know if you want to see it." Ingrid gasped. "Castle of Gold? That's definitely referencing gold in the title. Tristan practically jumped out of his seat. We need to watch it. This might be the next step. They replied instantly, securing a screening time. Chapter 6. Code Number 2's Riddle. While they waited for the Ogon no Shiro screening, Ingrid tried to solve the new riddle further. From the silver to the golden, you shall ascend. The key lies in the place where midnight meets dawn. Listen for the trembling of the metal. Decipher the sign, and you shall find the next gate. She interpreted silver to gold as pointing them from Gin no Cayman, silver mask, to Ogon no Shiro, castle of gold. The place where midnight meets dawn might symbolize transition or a time around 3 to 4 a.m., or it might be metaphorical. Trembling of the metal, Ingrid mused. Silver, gold, some kind of sonic clue? Tristan joined in. Or maybe it's referencing a certain scene. The code might show up when there's a metallic tremor or some sound effect. We should watch out for that. Their conversation was cut short by a knock on the door. It was their friend and fellow film major, Yasmin, wearing an intrigued expression. You two have been AWOL for days, she said, hands on hips. What's going on in here? Just the final project, Tristan stammered. They exchanged a quick glance. Should they let Yasmin in on the secret? Ingrid decided. You want to see something really weird? Yasmin's eyes widened as they replayed the snippet from Toy K Musho with the hidden code. Holy smokes, she whispered. Is that a QR code from 1959? Are you serious? Tristan nodded. We discovered a second one too, in another old film. Yasmin stared in disbelief. That's insane. We think it's linked to some secret society, Ingrid said. We're about to watch a third film with a possible code. Yasmin inhaled sharply. This is bigger than a class project. This is like National Treasure meets The Ring. You guys be careful. Tristan and Ingrid locked eyes, a flicker of concern passing between them. We'll be careful, but we have to know the truth. That night, Yasmin left with a promise not to share their discovery until they had more concrete answers. Tristan, meanwhile, set up their next viewing. Chapter 7. The third film screening. It was Friday evening. The private collector from San Francisco granted them access to a secured streaming copy of Ogon no Shiro. Tristan plugged his laptop into their dorm TV so they could watch on a bigger screen. Ingrid kept her phone ready for scanning. As the reel began, the film introduced a story about a feudal lord discovering hidden gold beneath an ancient castle. The plot meandered through tense family dramas, warlords, and betrayals. Yet Tristan and Ingrid were laser-focused on every briefcase, suitcase, trunk, any container that might hide another QR code cameo. Finally, about halfway in, the screen cut to a modern, at least for 1959, city scene. There was a subtle transition from historical drama to some strange montage referencing the castle in a contemporary setting. Suddenly, a man in a Western-style suit walked across a street. The shot lingered on him from behind as he clutched a metallic briefcase. Ingrid pointed. That must be it. Sure enough, for less than a second, the camera angle changed, revealing a QR code etched into the shiny surface of the case. Tristan froze the frame. Got it, he breathed, scanning with his phone. The familiar routine played out. His phone recognized the code, leading to a new cryptic web page. This time, it was formatted differently, with broken lines of text that looked almost poem-like. He fed it into Google Translate. When the golden tower rises under the rising sun, the watchers unite at the crossroads. The passage will open to those who see beyond the lens. Seek the next in the city of illusions. Below it was yet another reference, Amatsukami, and once again the repeated quote. The future has already arrived. It is just not evenly distributed. Ingrid exhaled. City of illusions. Could that be Tokyo? Or maybe some other metropolis known for illusions? Las Vegas? or literally a city in Japan known for illusions. Tristan typed City of Illusions into a search bar. He found references to old Japanese nicknames for certain neighborhoods, but nothing definitive. This is so vague. Nonetheless, they had found the third code. Now they knew there were multiple codes across multiple films, each pointing to some grand puzzle. 3 codes discovered, 3 more rumored to exist, based on the pattern. In all the notes we've compiled, Ingrid said, there seems to be an emphasis on this Watchers group or secret society. The website mentions Watchers uniting at crossroads. Maybe that's a metaphor. Or maybe it's literal. A crossroads in Tokyo or Osaka. Tristan's eyes gleamed with excitement. We need to systematically track down more 1959 Japanese films, especially ones that might have Western-suited businessmen in them. That seems to be a running theme for the Code's cameo. Ingrid opened her note-taking app. Let's do it. Thus began their next deep dive, systematically searching every archived film from 1959 that they could access. Chapter 8. Delving Deeper. The weekend was a blur of old movies, late-night coffee runs, and frequent exclamations of pause or rewind. Ingrid set up a spreadsheet to log each film's timestamp, title, and whether it featured any suspicious scenes. They found many interesting cinematic moments, but only 3 proven QR code cameos so far. Frustration threatened to derail them. Tristan tried to keep morale up. We have to be missing a clue from the riddles. They might direct us to specific titles. They revisited the websites associated with the first 3 QR codes, scanning them for direct references. Ingrid noticed that each page had a tiny icon in the corner, a stylized symbol resembling an 8-petaled lotus superimposed with geometric lines. She recalled the old forum handle, Lotus Watcher 79, from their first lead. Lotus Watchers. This might not be a coincidence. Tristan agreed. Let's see if the lotus is some well-known symbol for an occult group. He typed in the search. They stumbled upon references to the lotus in various Eastern spiritual traditions, but nothing that directly tied to a high-tech secret society. However, they did find a mention of a lotus project rumored to have existed in Japan's tech research circles in the 1960s. The details were scarce, only faint whispers of a project that might have combined advanced computing with mystical beliefs. By Monday, they were nowhere near giving up. If anything, they were more hooked than ever. 3 codes were behind them, and the last riddle teased a city of illusions and watchers meeting at crossroads. Ingrid bit her lip. We might have to take a bold step. Maybe we should actually go to Japan. Tristan blinked, stunned. You're serious? Yes. If this is real, if some group back in the 50s had the means or the knowledge to embed these codes, there might be physical evidence or leads in Tokyo or Osaka, and the last riddle references watchers uniting in a city. Tokyo and Osaka are the biggest possibilities. He considered the cost, the time away from classes, the risk of going on a wild goose chase. We're not exactly rolling in money. Even with scholarships, a trip to Japan is major. We have some savings, right? Maybe we can find cheap flights, hostels, or ask for an extension on our final project. We can turn this into research for Caldwell's class, right? A quiet resolve filled the air. Tristan exhaled. Okay, let's see if we can't find at least one more code before making that leap. If it points more clearly to Japan as the next step, we do it. They agreed, forging ahead with a new sense of purpose. Little did they know, they were already on a path that would bring them face to face with the heart of a clandestine cult older and more technologically advanced than they ever imagined. Episode 3. The Third Code's Clues. Chapter 9. An Unexpected Ally. Word count, approx. 3,500. Over the next few days, rumors began swirling around the film department that Ingrid and Tristan were onto something big. Whispers of a secret code in old reels floated through the halls. Whether Yasmin had let something slip or if the two's frantic library visits had raised eyebrows, they weren't sure. One afternoon, Ingrid found a note slipped under their dorm door. "I know about the codes. Meet me at Westwood Cafe, 4 p.m. tomorrow. S." Tristan read it over her shoulder. S? No idea who that could be. Ingrid frowned. Could it be a hoax? Or maybe a fellow student who also stumbled on the codes? We can't just ignore it. At exactly 4 p.m. the next day, Ingrid and Tristan sat in a corner booth at Westwood Cafe, nursing lattes. They anxiously watched people enter. Finally, a tall figure in a black turtleneck approached, a professor in the film department, Dr. Shinohara. "May I join you?" he asked quietly. Ingrid felt her heart skip. Dr. Takeshi Shinohara was a visiting scholar from Japan's Waseda University, specializing in early film restoration. His salt-and-pepper hair and scholarly demeanor made him an unlikely figure to be leaving cryptic notes. "Of course," Tristan said, slipping into a polite tone. Dr. Shinohara sat, folding his hands. He spoke softly. "I've heard rumors of two bright students investigating hidden codes in 1950s Japanese films." His gaze was serious but not unkind. "Is it true?" Ingrid glanced at Tristan, then nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. We've found 3 codes so far." He let out a breath that seemed tinged with relief. "May I see the frames, if possible?" Tristan had them saved on his phone. As he scrolled through, Dr. Shinohara's eyes widened. "Incredible," he murmured. "I feared as much." "What do you mean?" Ingrid asked. "I have studied obscure post-war films for decades. There have always been rumors of anomalies, anachronistic images, or cryptic frames hidden in certain reels, but mainstream academia dismissed them as legends or editing errors." Tristan leaned forward. "So you know about these codes already?" Dr. Shinohara nodded. "I suspected their existence. A colleague of mine, now deceased, once confided in me about seeing such a code in a film from 1959. He spoke of a secret group called Amanokai, an offshoot of an even older sect that believed technology and spiritual enlightenment were two sides of the same coin. They called themselves Watchers, guardians of knowledge from the future." Ingrid's pulse raced. Everything they'd read was aligning with Dr. Shinohara's story. So these Watchers, they placed these QR codes in old films. That is one theory. Another is that they somehow discovered the ability to encode messages using patterns akin to modern data matrix codes, far ahead of its official invention. If so, we are dealing with technology or knowledge that was premature for its time. Tristan's mind spun. But how? And why? Dr. Shinohara spread his hands. "I have no definitive answers, but I do know that those who get too close to the truth often attract unwanted attention. You must be cautious." They shared a meaningful look. Ingrid asked, "What do we do next?" "Continue your search, but be discreet," Dr. Shinohara said. "The next step likely lies in Japan, given the references in these riddles. I too will be returning to Tokyo soon for unrelated academic work. But if you decide to come, I might be able to connect you with certain archives not open to the public." They exchanged silent excitement. This was the breakthrough they needed, an inside connection. "Thank you," Ingrid said, her voice trembling. "We won't forget this." Dr. Shinohara nodded, finishing his tea. "One last word of advice. Do not underestimate the power of those who wish these secrets to remain hidden. They might watch from the shadows. Proceed, but with vigilance." Then, with a polite bow, he left. Outside the cafe window, the Los Angeles sky was awash in the pinks and oranges of dusk. The world felt momentarily larger and more perilous than before, but Ingrid and Tristan both sensed they were on the brink of a monumental discovery, something bigger than any final project. Chapter 10. Booking the Flight. That evening, fueled by Dr. Shinohara's encouragement, they decided to take the plunge. After verifying they could survive financially on discounted student airfare and budget accommodations, Ingrid and Tristan booked 2 round-trip tickets to Tokyo. They scheduled their trip for the upcoming spring break, less than 2 weeks away. Despite nerves, the prospect ignited a thrill in them. Both had always wanted to visit Japan. Now they had a mission. As the days ticked by, they found one more relevant 1959 film, Yami no Machi, City of Darkness. Intrigued by the possible reference to illusions or shadows, they acquired a battered DVD copy from an online auction. The disc arrived just 3 days before their flight. They settled in to watch. The film was a grim noir about crime syndicates in Osaka. The production quality was rough, the plot disjointed. Tristan nearly fell asleep until Ingrid yelped in excitement. "There!" she shouted, pausing. A gangster carried a suitcase with a strange design on its latch. Sure enough, for a single frame, the latch glinted a QR code. They repeated their buy-now routine. Freeze, scan, open the web page. Another cryptic riddle. The City of Darkness reveals the light. Those who carry illusions carry truths. From the hidden fortress to the steel tower, the watchers shall guide you. They deciphered references to a hidden fortress, perhaps an homage to Kurosawa's film, and a steel tower, could be Tokyo Tower, built in 1958. It felt like all signs pointed to Tokyo as the next major clue. With 4 codes discovered, 2 left to go, Tristan and Ingrid felt the puzzle was accelerating. Each code's riddle seemed to build on the last, weaving illusions and watchers, darkness and light. They double-checked their passports, packed lightly, and prepared for the unknown. Chapter 11. Arriving in Tokyo. The flight from LAX to Narita felt surreal. Ingrid dozed off, dreaming of labyrinthine streets and flickering film reels, while Tristan tried to read a tourist guide to Tokyo, mind only half-focused. They landed in the early evening, the airport bustling with energy, posters advertising futuristic technology, anime characters, and cutting-edge gadgets lined the halls. Their hearts pounded as they stepped onto the train into central Tokyo, the city lights a dazzling mosaic beyond the windows. In a modest hostel near Shinjuku, they crashed for the night, exhausted but too excited to sleep. The neon glow outside their window cast shifting patterns on the walls. "We're actually here," Ingrid whispered, "chasing a secret society hidden in decades-old films." Tristan nodded, half smiling. "It's almost too crazy to believe." The next morning, they met Dr. Shinohara at a small cafe near Waseda University. He greeted them warmly and led them to an archival facility housing older films and documents. There, in a hushed reading room with shelves packed to the ceiling, he introduced them to Miss Sato, an archivist in her 50s with keen eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "I've heard rumors about these codes," she said quietly in Japanese. Dr. Shinohara translated for them. "I never believed them until now." She retrieved a large file. Inside were press clippings and notes about mysterious frames in films from 1959, all referencing a rumored cult known as Ama no Kai. One photograph, black and white, showed a man standing on a Tokyo street in 1959, holding a briefcase with a faint swirl on it. The swirl could just be a pattern or scuff marks, but Ingrid couldn't shake the feeling it was one of those codes. Chapter 12. The Next Trail. Ms. Saito shared that if the group was real, they often held clandestine gatherings in Osaka, historically known for its merchant class and more open cultural practices. "Some say the Watchers migrated there," she said, adjusting her glasses. Tristan glanced at Ingrid. "Then maybe the final clue is in Osaka. We did see references to that city in some of the riddles." Dr. Shinohara nodded. "Yes, and the last lines about illusions and watchers might connect to rumored gatherings in the old merchant quarters. If so, the next film might reference that location." Ingrid took a moment to gather her courage. We might need to go to Osaka soon, but first, we'd like to see if there are any additional 1959 films in your archives that we haven't screened. Ms. Saito led them to a row of labeled canisters. She had meticulously organized a half-dozen titles from 1959, some so obscure that they never had wide release. Feel free to watch them here, she said, gesturing to a small viewing station equipped with an old projector. They thanked her profusely. Hours passed as they scanned reel after reel, searching for even a fraction of a second's anomaly. On the fourth reel, titled Kumori no Dansei, Clouded Man, they found something near the end, a fleeting shot of a man in a suit stepping off a train in Osaka. Another QR code, the fifth one. They almost jumped out of their seats. Once again, Tristan's phone beeped, opening a web page of cryptic Japanese text. This time, part of it read, "When clouds part, the Tower of the East and the Castle of the West align. The watchers convene at the foot of twin dragons, where water flows beneath ancient stone. There the final gate awaits." Ingrid felt chills run down her spine. The Castle of the West was likely Osaka Castle. Tower of the East might be Tokyo Tower. Twin dragons could reference some specific landmark, a bridge or gate with dragon statues. They were getting close. Dr. Shinohara looked at them solemnly. "It seems your quest leads to Osaka. You must be careful. Many rumors say the Watchers do not welcome uninvited guests." Tristan swallowed hard. "We have to go. This is our best lead." Ingrid nodded, determination in her eyes. They had come too far to turn back. Dr. Shinohara offered a faint smile. "I understand. I'll try to arrange a contact in Osaka, someone who can help you navigate. But beyond that, you're on your own." They expressed gratitude, spent one last night in Tokyo to rest, and early the next morning boarded the Shinkansen bullet train southward to Osaka. As the sleek train hurtled through the countryside, Ingrid watched the cityscape give way to suburban sprawl and then farmland. Her heart fluttered with a mix of fear and excitement. They were about to confront the Watchers on their own turf. 5 codes down, 1 to go, and the final piece of the puzzle, they hoped, was waiting for them in Osaka. Episode 4, Into the Heart of Osaka. Chapter 13, The Sixth Film. Arriving at Osaka Station felt like entering another world. Unlike the relentless bustle of Tokyo, Osaka's energy was more boisterous, the people more openly friendly. Neon lights still glowed overhead, but the dialect and street foods gave the city its distinct flavor. Tristan and Ingrid checked into a tiny guest house near the Dotonbori area. They received a text from Dr. Shinohara with the name of his local contact, Mr. Tanaka, a retired professor who once studied the Amanokai legend. The text read, "Meet him at Shinsukai District under Tsutenkaku Tower, 6 p.m. After dropping off their bags, they made their way to Shinsukai, a district built in the early 20th century with a retro-futuristic vibe. Tsutenkaku Tower loomed above, its lights flickering in the early evening sky. At the base of the tower, they recognized an older man scanning the crowd. He carried a folded newspaper under one arm. When Ingrid and Tristan approached, he nodded politely. "Doctor, Shinohara told me about you. Come with me," he said, in precise English. His voice was firm, but not unfriendly. They followed him to a small, dimly lit restaurant tucked away from the main tourist path. "We can speak privately here," Mr. Tanaka said, settling into a booth. Over cups of steaming tea, he explained his background. "I researched secret societies in post-war Japan, particularly those rumored to have advanced knowledge of electronics or computing before such things were mainstream. The group calling themselves Amanokai, some claimed they had contact with American scientists after the war, gleaning futuristic technologies or theories. Others believed they practiced occult rituals to bring forth knowledge from the future." Tristan exchanged a glance with Ingrid. "That's eerily close to everything we've found." Mr. Tanaka lowered his voice. "Be aware, these people, if they still exist, are extremely careful. They do not want their secrets exposed. The final code you seek. I suspect it might be in a film titled Mirai no Kage, Shadows of the Future, also made in 1959 but never publicly screened. Ingrid's heart skipped. Never screened? He nodded. Rumor says the film was financed by an unknown sponsor, produced quietly, then shelved. Only a few reels ever circulated. I heard a collector in Osaka might own one. Do you know who the collector is? Tristan asked. Mr. Tanaka pursed his lips. I believe his name is Kitaoka. He's notoriously reclusive. If he lets you see the reel, it will be at his discretion, and likely for a steep price. How can we contact him? Ingrid insisted. With a sigh, Mr. Tanaka scribbled a phone number on a slip of paper. Try this. Tell him Tanaka sent you. It might help, or it might not. They thanked him profusely. As they parted ways, Mr. Tanaka added one last warning. Should you actually view that film and see the final code, be prepared for the consequences. Amano Kai does not play games. Tristan and Ingrid walked back to their guest house, under the neon glow, the slip of paper clutched tight in Ingrid's hand. Their hearts hammered in their chests. The final code, Mirai no Kage, lay within reach. Chapter 14. Negotiations with a Collector. The next morning, they dialed Kitaoka's number from a public phone to maintain some privacy. The line clicked. A gravelly voice answered in Japanese. Tristan tried his best mixture of English and the Japanese phrases he'd learned, mentioning Mr. Tanaka's name. The voice hesitated, then responded in accented English. You want to see Mirai no Kage? Why? Tristan exchanged a glance with Ingrid and answered truthfully, albeit carefully. We are film students researching 1959 Japanese cinema. We heard that reel is historically significant. There was a pause. Very well. Come to the address I will give you. Bring 200,000 yen in cash, no negotiation. You watch, then leave. Ingrid gulped. That was roughly $1,500. They didn't have that much left, but maybe they could withdraw from their emergency fund. She nodded at Tristan, who hesitated, but then agreed. Okay, we'll do it. Kitaoka gave them an address in an older part of Osaka. The line went dead. They spent the afternoon scraping together the cash, converting their dollars. Anxiety mounted as they realized how far they were going for a single film reel. Yet the puzzle beckoned. By evening, they found themselves standing before a nondescript concrete building. A single small plaque bore the surname Kitaoka. Tristan pressed the buzzer. The door clicked open. Inside, the place resembled an antique shop storeroom. Dusty shelves, old boxes, film canisters. A tall, lean man with slicked-back hair appeared. I am Kitaoka, he said curtly. He extended a hand for the money. After counting it, he nodded. Follow me. He led them down a dim corridor into a makeshift screening room, a tattered couch, a vintage projector, and battered speakers. Nearby lay a film canister labeled in Japanese. The words Weilai no Yin, Mirai no Kage were handwritten in thick black marker. Kitaoka lifted the reel carefully, threading it into the projector. You have 1 hour. No pictures, no copies. Understood? They nodded, hearts pounding. The projector clicked into motion. Mirai no Kage began. The black and white footage was grainy, the audio crackling. The film depicted a shadowy figure in a futuristic laboratory, at least futuristic by 1950s standards. Strange machines hummed in the background, and the character spoke of bridging worlds, referencing bizarre theories about data patterns. About 30 minutes in, there it was. A suited businessman walked through the lab, carrying a sleek metallic briefcase. In a blink, a new QR code shimmered on its side. The 6th code. Ingrid inhaled sharply. She reached for her phone. Kitaoka hissed, No pictures! But we need to see if it scans, Tristan whispered desperately. Kitaoka hesitated, then relented. Fine. No screenshots, just scanning. He watched them like a hawk. Tristan froze the frame and quickly aligned his phone. For a moment, the screen hesitated, then beeped. A web link opened, a new page filled with Japanese text. Ingrid's heart thumped as they read through hurried translations. When the six converge, the path is revealed. The watchers guard the threshold between worlds. Bow before the twilight gate, for there you meet your future. Follow the dragons to their watery domain. The lens of time stands open, if you dare to cross. Tristan read it, feeling goosebumps. Dragons? Watery domain? Osaka Castle's moat? Ingrid recalled the earlier riddle about twin dragons and ancient stone, possibly referencing a specific site near the castle. This must be it, she said, her voice shaky. We have all 6 codes. Now we need to go to the location they describe. Kitaoka abruptly switched off the projector. Your time is up. Leave now. They tried to thank him, but he said nothing else, merely escorting them back to the entrance. Before closing the door, he muttered, Be careful what you seek. Then the heavy door slammed shut. Chapter 15. Cryptic riddles converge. Outside, the night air felt charged. They'd done it, found all 6 codes, each with its cryptic riddle. Ingrid began to piece them together. Toi Keimusho, website referencing watchers, illusions, the boundary. Gin no Carmen. From the silver to the golden, you shall ascend. Ogon no Shiro. City of illusions, watchers at crossroads. Yami no Machi. City of darkness reveals the light. Illusions carry truths. Kumori no Dansei. Clouds part, Tower of East, Castle of West, Twin Dragons, Final Gate. Mirai no Keiga. When 6 converge, follow the dragons to their watery domain. Lens of time stands open. Twin dragons near water, Tristan repeated. We need to find a place in or near Osaka Castle that has 2 dragon statues or motifs, presumably near water like the moat. Ingrid searched images of Osaka Castle on her phone. The castle's rooftop famously featured gilded shachihoko, tigerfish-like creatures, sometimes referred to as dragons, but they were on the roof, not near the moat. Tristan scrolled through historical landmarks around the castle grounds. One place caught his eye. A lesser-known shrine near the moat had 2 dragon statues at its entrance, said to guard the spirit of water. This might be it. They decided to visit the next day. Anxiety thrummed beneath their excitement. Ingrid still couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched. That night, she tossed and turned, dreaming of men in suits with blank faces, lab experiments bridging the future, and a swirling black void in the shape of a QR code. She woke in a cold sweat, heart racing. We're so close, she whispered into the darkness, though Tristan was fast asleep. What if we find more than we bargained for? Episode 5. Revelations at the Dragon Shrine. Chapter 16. The Secret Society Emerges. Early morning found Ingrid and Tristan weaving through the crowds around Osaka Castle. Tourists snapped photos of the grand fortress, but Tristan and Ingrid looked for a small shrine rumored to be near the outer moat. At last, they spotted a set of mossy stone steps leading down toward the water. 2 carved dragons, each about 3 feet high, stood vigil on either side of a narrow path. Their features were worn by time, but still fierce. Ingrid's pulse quickened. This matches the riddles. Let's go. They descended cautiously. The shrine itself was modest, partially hidden by overgrown foliage. A worn wooden sign displayed faded kanji, which Tristan's translation app roughly rendered as Dragon Watergate. A sense of eerie calm hovered in the air. As they approached the shrine, a soft footstep sounded behind them. They whirled around. A figure in a dark suit stood at the top of the steps, like a businessman from the 1950s, but very much in the present. He spoke in measured English. You have come far. The watchers anticipated your arrival. Ingrid's breath caught in her throat. Who are you? He stepped closer, face partially obscured by the brim of a hat. One of the watchers. You seek answers, do you not? Tristan's mind raced. They had all 6 codes, the riddles that led them here. Was this man truly part of Ama no Kai? A second figure appeared, similarly dressed, then a third. They surrounded Ingrid and Tristan. The first man nodded to the others. They have the knowledge. Bring them below. Before they could react, Tristan and Ingrid found themselves guided, if not quite forced, toward a hidden entrance behind the shrine. A wooden panel slid aside, revealing a dark tunnel lit by a single electric bulb. Tristan whispered to Ingrid, "We can turn back. This is too risky." Ingrid, heart pounding, shook her head. "If we do, we'll never know. Let's go." They entered the passage. The watchers followed close behind, footsteps echoing on damp stone. At the end of the corridor was a metal door, which hissed open to reveal something that neither Ingrid nor Tristan expected. The space beyond looked more like a modern laboratory than a centuries-old shrine. Computers, monitors, and equipment with blinking lights filled the room. People in lab coats hustled between stations, while others, dressed in traditional robes, chanted softly in a corner. Ama no Kai was real, and it was more than a fringe cult. It appeared to be a fusion of advanced technology and esoteric ritual, the future and the past converging. Chapter 17. The future has already arrived. In the center of the chamber stood a tall woman with silver-streaked hair in a dark kimono. She exuded an aura of quiet authority. The watchers bowed to her. She turned her calm gaze on Ingrid and Tristan, speaking in perfect English. "Welcome. I am Uematsu-sensei, High Conduit of Ama no Kai." She glanced at the watchers. "You have done well to guide them here." Tristan found his voice, albeit shaky. "What is this place?" Uematsu-sensei smiled. "A sanctuary of knowledge. For decades we have safeguarded secrets that your world was not ready to accept. The codes you discovered were part of our tests, our breadcrumbs, if you will. We had to ensure only those truly seeking knowledge would find us." Ingrid's eyes darted over the advanced machines, some featuring brand names she'd never seen, others with no brand at all. "But how can you exist like this, hidden from the public?" "Our roots stretch back centuries," Uematsu-sensei explained. "We incorporate Shinto mysticism, but also scientific breakthroughs gleaned from post-war interactions with cutting-edge researchers worldwide. We have partners in America, Europe, and beyond. We collaborate to shape humanity's future in ways that governments or corporations cannot hinder." The watchers pressed them forward. Ingrid felt both awe and fear. Why place QR codes in old films? Uematsu-sensei's gaze flickered. It began as an experiment, embedding data in mediums that would outlast ephemeral digital files. A forward-thinking scientist among us discovered the concept of matrix barcodes decades before the mainstream. We integrated them into film frames to ensure our records and a trail for future seekers couldn't be easily erased. Tristan gulped. "But we're just students who stumbled onto them by accident." Uematsu-sensei let out a soft laugh. "Do you truly believe it was an accident? You are here. That is what matters. Now, do you wish to see the heart of our work?" Ingrid and Tristan exchanged a quick look. Curiosity won out. They nodded. Chapter 18. Peering behind the curtain. She led them through the lab. Researchers manipulated holographic interfaces. Truly holographic, not the clumsy prototypes they'd seen at expos. A large display showed lines of code in multiple languages, some unrecognizable. One corner contained a small shrine with candlelit offerings, incense rising in aromatic plumes. Symbolic charms hung from a wooden rack, interspersed with circuit boards. The merger of spiritual and technological was seamless, as though each enriched the other. Uematsu-sensei paused at a glass chamber containing what appeared to be a black orb suspended in midair. "Behold the Kuro no Tama, our black sphere. It is an experimental device harnessing quantum entanglement. We believe it can peer into possible futures. Glimpses, if you will." Tristan's jaw nearly dropped. You're claiming to see the future? The future is not fixed, she replied, but certain patterns can be detected. Our motto, as you've seen, is, the future has already arrived, it's just not evenly distributed. We attempt to distribute it carefully. Ingrid felt dizzy. Everything about this place defied conventional understanding. And the Watchers? They're your operatives. Uematsu-sensei nodded. Yes, they operate in secrecy, ensuring that disruptive knowledge does not fall into the wrong hands. Governments, corporations, radicals. Our aim is to guide humanity toward a more enlightened path. Tristan's mind reeled. So why let us in? We're just two random students from California. Random? Her lips curved into a mysterious smile. The impetus for your journey may have been chance, but we watch potential. We saw your determination, your open-mindedness. You passed all 6 trials. You have proven yourselves. Ingrid tried to wrap her head around it. So, what now? Chapter 19. Initiation or Escape? Uematsu-sensei gestured to a small side room. Rest here. Collect your thoughts. Then we shall speak of the next steps. They were escorted into a comfortable lounge area, the Watchers closing the sliding door behind them. Ingrid and Tristan sank onto a sofa, hearts still pounding. This is insane, Ingrid whispered. They're real, and they're more advanced than anything we imagined. Tristan exhaled shakily. They could change the world with all this tech, if they're not already. But it's hidden. Why? Maybe they believe the world's not ready, or they want power for themselves, Ingrid speculated. Uematsu-sensei seems benevolent, but who knows? Before they could continue, a young watcher entered, bowing politely. Uematsu-sensei wishes to see you again. They followed him into a round chamber illuminated by a soft, bluish glow. Uematsu-sensei stood at an altar-like console. You have a choice, she said solemnly. Join us, or leave. If you join, you will carry the burden of secrecy, but gain access to knowledge beyond your imagining. If you leave, you must vow never to speak of what you've seen. Tristan's heart raced. Join you? She nodded. We rarely recruit outsiders, but your successful deciphering of the codes indicates you have the tenacity and creativity we value. Ingrid felt torn, enthralled by the possibility of advanced technology and spiritual insight, yet alarmed at the secrecy and potential manipulation. And if we say no, then the Watchers will ensure you never betray us, Uematsu-sensei said, her tone unwavering. Do not misunderstand. We will not harm you, but we will watch. If you speak carelessly, your life will become complicated. Silence stretched. Ingrid stared at Tristan, her mind whirring. Could they really uproot their lives and join this secret society? Tristan's voice trembled with the weight of the decision. What if we just want to complete our film studies and go back to normal life? Uematsu-sensei's gaze softened fractionally. You may return, but we cannot guarantee normalcy. Knowledge changes people. Do you truly believe you can forget what you've witnessed? Ingrid felt tears prick her eyes. She realized that no matter what, they could never unknow the existence of Ama no Kai. The Watchers, the advanced lab. It was burned into their memories. Chapter 20. A test of faith and reason. They needed time to think. Sensing their turmoil, Uematsu-sensei gestured to a silver door. Beyond is our private reflection chamber. Enter if you wish clarity of mind. Ingrid and Tristan stepped through. The space inside was minimalistic, with cushions on the floor, soft ambient music playing, and a faint, comforting hum, like the resonance of crystals. As the door closed, they found themselves alone, the Watchers presumably outside. What do we do? Ingrid asked, voice trembling. Tristan shook his head. I don't know. Part of me wants to run away, get on a plane home, and pretend none of this happened. Another part of me is intrigued. Imagine the breakthroughs we could see here. Ingrid thought of their families, their life plans. We'd be giving up everything for a secret group with no transparency, no accountability. And for what? Knowledge? Power? Tristan gazed at her. Or we walk away, living with the knowledge that we stumbled on the biggest secret in modern history, and we can't tell a soul. Could we handle that? A tear slipped down Ingrid's cheek. This was bigger than any moral or ethical dilemma she'd faced. If we stay, do we trust them not to use us? This might be a cult. They talk about shaping humanity's future. That's massive power. And they never said how they plan to guide humanity. Tristan placed a hand on Ingrid's shoulder. I don't like it either, but we might be able to keep an eye on them from the inside, if we join. If we refuse, we're out in the cold, living in fear of watchers who might or might not keep tabs on us forever. Ingrid sniffled, wiping her eyes. Okay, let's see what they offer. But we set boundaries. We are not blindly swearing allegiance. They stood, holding hands for courage. Slowly, they exited the reflection chamber. Episode 6, The Final Revelation. Chapter 21, The Shocking Truth. Uematsu-sensei awaited them in the main lab, flanked by robed figures and watchers in suits. Her expression was serene yet expectant. We have decided, Tristan began, voice unsteady. We'll learn what you have to teach, but we won't give up our free will. We can't promise eternal loyalty. Uematsu-sensei inclined her head. Very well. You will have time to learn and decide your deeper commitment. For now, come. She led them to a large monitor connected to the black orb device. The lights in the room dimmed as a robe technician activated it. A faint hum filled the air, intensifying. You shall witness a demonstration of our capabilities, Uematsu-sensei explained. We can detect probable events yet to come, glimpses of potential futures. Observe. The orb glowed. The monitor displayed swirling lights that coalesced into images. City skylines, storms, advanced robotics, conflict zones. It was as though they were seeing news broadcasts from decades ahead. Some images showed a world battered by climate disasters and economic turmoil. Others showed leaps in medical tech, people living longer, societies adopting advanced AI integrated with daily life. Ingrid's mouth fell open. The visuals felt painfully real. A sense of both awe and dread gripped her. Is this guaranteed to happen? Not guaranteed, Uematsu-sensei said quietly, but these are high-probability timelines branching from current conditions. Without intervention, certain outcomes become more likely. Tristan swallowed hard, trying to process. So you intervene? Behind the scenes? Uematsu-sensei nodded. We shift events incrementally. We introduced barcodes early, integrated with certain manufacturing processes, ensuring a smoother transition to global supply chains. We influenced microchip development, encouraging certain breakthroughs while stifling reckless weaponization. Ingrid felt a surge of conflicting emotions. That's an enormous manipulation. Governments, corporations, the public, they never consented. We do not do so lightly, Uematsu-sensei said, her voice tinged with sorrow. Each intervention is debated among us, but we believe a guided path is better than chaos. Tristan's eyes fixed on a scene that looked like Los Angeles, half submerged in water. What about that? Can you prevent environmental catastrophes? Our resources are limited, she admitted. We aim to accelerate green technology, but human greed remains formidable. The Watchers operate quietly, but we cannot force every government's hand. A hush fell. Ingrid sensed a magnitude of responsibility crushing down on her. The Watchers turned off the orb. Uematsu-sensei turned to them, solemn. You see the burden we bear. Your generation's future rests on a precipice. Now you understand why secrecy is vital. If certain powers discovered this technology, they would exploit it with no regard for consequences. Tristan swallowed. This is bigger than anything we can fully comprehend. Uematsu-sensei nodded. That is why we do not force you. If you choose to go back to your lives, we will watch over you, but you must vow silence. Should you break that vow, we will not hesitate to protect our secrets. Chapter 22. The Final Twist. The watchers stood in a silent circle, awaiting their response. Ingrid and Tristan felt the weight of centuries of hidden knowledge pressing in. Ingrid's mind warred with itself. One side admired the Watchers for trying to steer humanity away from disaster. Another side balked at the notion of clandestine elites deciding the world's fate. Tristan spoke first, voice barely above a whisper. We need to think more about whether we can join you fully. We understand the vow of silence, but we also have ethical doubts about a hidden group shaping the future without public knowledge. Uematsu-sensei regarded them with an inscrutable expression. Ethical concerns are healthy. I only caution you that the world is not kind to idealists. We stand at this threshold because we must. Ingrid summoned her courage. We appreciate what you've shown us, but we want to return to UCLA, at least for now. We won't speak of this publicly. A flicker of something, disappointment perhaps, passed across Uematsu-sensei's face. As you wish. The Watchers will accompany you to ensure your safe departure. If you ever decide to return, follow the code you know. We shall find you. With that, two Watchers stepped forward, gesturing politely. Ingrid and Tristan followed them back through the labyrinth of corridors. However, as they re-entered the shrine area, an alarm suddenly blared in the distance. Lights flashed red in the underground facility. The Watchers exchanged urgent glances. "What's happening?" Tristan asked, alarmed. One Watcher muttered, "Security breach on the perimeter. Intruders. Possibly a rival faction or law enforcement." Chaos erupted. More Watchers streamed past, some brandishing advanced-looking weapons. Uematsu-sensei's voice rang out over a loudspeaker in Japanese. Ingrid caught only a few words. "Protect the sanctuary. Seal the archives." In the confusion, the Watchers escorting Ingrid and Tristan were called away. "Stay here," they ordered. But Ingrid grabbed Tristan's hand. "This is our chance to leave unnoticed." They sprinted up the stone steps, the alarm echoing behind them. Outside, bright midday light stung their eyes. They found themselves alone, no Watchers in sight. Heart pounding, Ingrid whispered, "Let's go!" They fled the shrine grounds, weaving through the crowds near Osaka Castle. Sirens wailed in the distance, though whether they belonged to the Watchers or local police was unclear. Within minutes, Ingrid and Tristan hailed a taxi, breathless. "Airport," Tristan panted to the driver in English, hoping he'd understand. The driver gave a curt nod, and they lurched forward into traffic. Chapter 23. A Narrow Escape. On the taxi ride, they remained silent, occasionally glancing back to see if anyone was following. No black sedans or suited figures emerged. Tristan clenched Ingrid's hand, adrenaline pumping. "What do we do now?" Ingrid finally whispered. "We saw so much. We can't just go back and say everything's normal." Tristan shook his head. "We made a choice. We'll keep quiet, for our own safety. But I can't stop thinking. Should we warn someone? Or at least let people know there's a group influencing world events?" "Who would believe us?" Ingrid asked, half laughing in despair. "And if they did, we'd have Watchers or worse coming for us." Tristan bit his lip, nodding. "We can't do that. Not yet. Maybe in the future, if we have proof." At the airport, they managed to change their tickets for an earlier flight. As they passed through security, Ingrid kept expecting Watchers to appear, but none did. They boarded the plane, hearts still thumping. The flight back to Los Angeles was a blur. Sleep came fitfully, nightmares swirling of old films, hidden labs, and apocalyptic visions. When they landed at LAX, it felt surreal. They hailed a rideshare to campus, returning to their dorm in the dead of night, the campus quiet. Chapter 24. Aftermath. In the weeks that followed, Ingrid and Tristan tried to resume normal life. They submitted a final project for Professor Caldwell, a carefully curated presentation on obscure 1950s Japanese cinema, focusing on its stylistic innovations but omitting any mention of QR codes. Professor Caldwell commended their thoroughness, though she was slightly perplexed by their tight-lipped manner about certain details. Their friend Yasmin noticed their changed demeanor. "You guys seem different. Did something crazy happen in Japan?" Ingrid forced a laugh. "Just culture shock." Yasmin raised an eyebrow but didn't press. Rumors about the secret code conspiracy had faded, overshadowed by end-of-semester stress. Yet at night, Ingrid would stare at her phone, remembering the websites with the cryptic riddles, now offline or inaccessible. Tristan tried once more to scan the frames. The codes no longer led anywhere. The Watchers had presumably shut down those channels. They lived with the burden of knowledge. In quiet moments, Ingrid recalled glimpses of the possible futures displayed in the Watcher's orb. Flooded cities, advanced AI integrated into daily life, new medical marvels. Part of her wanted to see more, to help shape that future for the better. But fear kept her silent. Chapter 25. A shocking epilogue. Months later, as summer break loomed, Ingrid and Tristan settled into the dorm lounge to watch a random sci-fi documentary. Ingrid's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. A single line of Japanese characters appeared, followed by the English translation. "The Watchers remain. The final gate is never truly closed. Ama no Kai." Her heart lurched. She showed Tristan. His face blanched. "Do you think they're threatening us?" he asked. Ingrid reread the text. "I'm not sure. Maybe they're reminding us they're still out there, or leaving the door open if we ever change our minds." Tristan rubbed his temples. "So we live under their shadow. Always." Ingrid fell silent, the weight of the Watcher's presence settling over her like a shadow. A sense of profound uncertainty took root. She recalled Uematsu-sensei's words, "Knowledge changes people. Do you truly believe you can forget?" They had become part of a greater tapestry of hidden influences, advanced technologies, and occult knowledge. Their eyes had been opened to a reality they could never unsee. In the stillness of that summer dusk, they realized the most haunting revelation was not the Watcher's existence or the advanced technology. It was the knowledge that the future was malleable, shaped by invisible hands and unstoppable forces alike. Would Ama no Kai truly guide humanity toward a better tomorrow? Or would their secrecy catalyze new conflicts, new power struggles? Ingrid and Tristan had no answers. Only time would tell. And so they lived with this shocking truth lodged in their minds, pondering its implications. For days on end, and likely for years to come, they wrestled with the knowledge that somewhere beneath the surface of the everyday world, a clandestine network wove the threads of tomorrow. No matter how diligently they tried to refocus on normal life, the Watcher's final message echoed in their thoughts. "The future has already arrived, it's just not evenly distributed." They could only wonder who decided how and when that future would be revealed. The end. Author's note. In the end, this story leaves Ingrid and Tristan at a crossroads, mirroring the tension between wonder and dread that secret, powerful societies embody. The Watchers claim benevolence, yet their methods raise profound ethical questions about free will, transparency, and the rightful shaping of humanity's future. The final revelation that such knowledge exists, hidden in the corners of our present, is meant to linger, prompting readers to reflect on what it means for our own world if the future has already arrived but is simply not evenly distributed.